What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. I got a couple other quick topics to talk about. First one we're going to talk about is NOME 15's second announcement, which I love. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Twork and Eazy, which was apparently this close to going down in the trenches, and it's fallen through. Twork says Eazy's ducking. He's provided a little bit of evidence for saying that Eazy's ducked, and I'll give my thoughts kind of on that and what we know so far, which I'll say right now reminds me a lot of the Eazy and Twork situation, but kind of a bit of roles reversed. But before we get into that, we got to talk about battles that are booked, that are happening, right? So NOME 15's second announcement, JJDD versus Fonz, which I have been waiting so long for. It was on my NOME wishlist video, so I'm 2 for 2. Unison Chess, John, and Fonz. But I've been asking for this for anyone that's been watching for over a year, damn near 2 years now. Any video I've made talking about Fonz and John, I say their next opponent should be the other one. It's been the perfect matchup for either of them versus each other. The Bookem videos where it's about matchups. I talk about all the reasons it makes sense. So for some of you, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I've seen a little bit more on Twitter than anything. I see a lot of people that really rock with the matchup because it is a textbook no matchup, but you always got a little bit of people that hate. The unhappy are always the outspoken, specifically on the internet and Twitter, right? So I've seen some people saying it's not a main event. Some jackass said, there's local leagues that wouldn't make this their main event. It's probably been 8 years since John didn't main event any, a local league, whatever. People just make shit up. But this is a textbook NOME battle. I got to explain why. People always talk about storylines getting built up in battle rap, right? And then competitive aspect, bringing that back. This battle is the epitome of that. This is a true grudge that is built up, maybe not because of personal reasons, but these guys have promoted this for over a year. Not just in a couple tweets or one shot. It's it's been mentioned before. This has went on and on. Interviews about each other. Shots in battles about each other. Interviews where they're snapping at each other in the interviews. And then you still have social media going at each other's spaces. Hit lists they've dropped talking about killing each other. This is proper build-up, constantly on all platforms doing real promo, and it's all built on the fact that neither of them can think the other can fuck with them, and it's two completely different styles at that. You have John, the all-around battler, the tactician, versus a straight power puncher in Fonz. So I think there's so many different patterns that make for an interesting battle here, and I think if anyone thinks it shouldn't be a main event, the only real, because it can't be about John. I know some people get down on John, but he's an unquestionable top 25 battler of all time, legend in this game, and top tier isn't even the word for it. You know what I mean? He's one of those ones, but maybe it's a little bit of questions about the profile of Fonz, and a lot of that, maybe a lot of his prime so far of what I think is being a top-tier battler has came in the app era. People are more willing to back someone that's more of a YouTube-based rapper, and Fonz's views really haven't. He's got a couple battles that are hitting like that, but nothing over 1 million, right? But when you start breaking it down, I think there's no question what Fonz's skill set is and the dangerous battler he is. He's battled a litany of top tiers at this point, and many on NOME and SM. This is going to be Fonz's 4th NOME. Might even be his 5th. He battled Jay the Nightwing at the end of the UM1 tournament. He battled JC. It was day 2 of NOME 11, but he did battle on a NOME 11. He ended up battling Geechee just last NOME, and he had the 2-on-2 for NOME Impact. Terrible event idea, but this is going to be basically his 4th or 5th NOME. You know what I'm saying? He's more than experienced in this situation, and for me, this also is going to act as Fonz's biggest battle of his career. Now, he's battled bigger names, right? He's battled Geechee Gotti, which obviously was just last NOME. Wasn't a bigger name, but maybe someone's respected a little bit more in a Rum Nitty, where in this current climate, he's considered a best-in-the-world contender. So he's battled top names in battle rap, but there's a grudge with this. There's genuine buildup. And for me, with John's name still being of legendary stature, and how much I think this means in terms of can Fonz's punching style go against an all-around legend that can do it all, in a grudge, and then, of course, as NOME is going to be, on a big stage in New York. Now, Fonz has rocked some big stages before. Him versus Shotgun Suge, which was also a grudge built behind it. Houston, SM13, he rocked that stage. Even Fonz versus Nitty, which while it wasn't as big as the Houston crowd or what's going to be this New York crowd, there was still 300, maybe 400 people in the building. I got to be there for that and the Suge battle. And with Fonz versus Nitty, Suge, John, they're all the same as being his high-pressure, milestone matchups. He said he was a better puncher than Nitty. As an upcoming puncher battling Nitty, biggest crowd he had been in front of, it felt like at that point, that matters. He had built up a grudge with Suge all the way to SM, and he really knocked it out the park with both those performances. I had him 1-1. Someone could have him 2-0. Him and Nitty was a debatable battle. So that treads good for the John John battle. He's proving it on bigger stages. That was an issue he had when he had the Danny Myers battle on SM12. I thought he might never figure out the big stages. He seems to be getting there. But like I'm going to say in all these videos, and now looking at the flip side, New York is a different animal, and it's a fire that John John was forged in, like many of the golden era guys. I mean, we can go all the way to SM2, Hitman Holla, Battle of the Night from one of the best events ever. I think that when at one point John John was being given the shot, then you still have Jack Boy, Mr. Wavy. Some people will say it's similar to this. That was those guys like SM debuts and NOME debuts. Now Fonz, we just talked about got like 5 NOMEs, 3 SMs, so he's obviously farther along the way, but legendary performance from John John. Reed Dallas, bodied him, so the New York crowd is just a different animal. Even if you've battled in Houston, if you've battled in all these different places, the hostility they can have and how quick it can go from good to bad. And even though Fonz has improved, he has an unorthodox way of punching, right? A different way of getting to the bar. And sometimes it could be a little weird for the pace. He's been prone to stumbles and chokes before, so even a little slip up or a round that gets booed like your Danny Myers second, it's going to be 10 times harder to get back and get their attention back. So there's really no room for error here, and that's the type of battle you want from both sides. But John John, it's advantage John John when he's done this 15, 20 times, and as good as you've been getting better on stages, there's nothing like battling in New York for that first time, even with the haymaker ability that Fonz can have. So I mean, you look at John John too. We talk about how good Fonz's form has been. I know there's been noise in and out of the ring for John John, bullpen and Cassidy backing out. He hasn't battled in like 10 months. But his last 5 battles, especially everything last year, he was amazing too. That's as good as you've seen John John rap. There's far more performances closer to great recently than there is even average or okay. So somehow, even though I've been asking forever, I thought it could have been on the last NOME, it could have been on the last SM. It may have worked itself out with them both battling at the best time in terms of the form, in terms of them being rested for the battle. So that's really like the holistic, if you want to know the story behind this, where they're going coming into this battle, that's where it is. These guys are both on fire. They've been popping shit for a minute, and they're both top-tier battle rappers. That's what makes NOME and SM the body of the cards, battles like this. And with that being said, I got to talk a little bit, because I know some of you were upset. Fonz backing out of the Big T battle. I know that I was upset. We didn't even hear anything about it, and apparently it was on his side that he backed out. Was it sick or work or something like that? I think he might have not had his raps. I can't say for a fact. It's just speculation, but he is going to pop out right after that. And it's nasty work. He would have beat Big T. There's no question here. I don't think I know that he's not backing out because he's scared of Big T at all in the year 2025. But it's still nasty work. Even if I think it's going to be a win, you have to do good business. You can't be backing out, especially last second like that. And he's a little prone to this. I remember he backed out on Danny. A couple URL battles have been postponed because of Fonz last minute can't do it. So I'm not a fan of that. It's not going to play into this matchup, but I just have to say you got to cut that out of your repertoire because those are extra things holding you back from being a star. When people look at matchups like this and maybe they'll get frustrated or think Fonz's profile doesn't match, it doesn't help if you grow a reputation for doing silly shit like that at the last second to a league. But I love this matchup. I don't know if I'd put it in the Battle of the Night convo. So far, it's Eunice and Chess and John John and Fonz. So not a lot to pick from. I like John John and Fonz a little bit more, but obviously they were both on like my mock version of this card, so I'm a big fan. And that is like my initial thoughts just looking at the announcement. Of course, no predictions here. We're going to wait for the full NOME 15 card to be out, and then I'll give my winners and losers when I've gotten to think about it a little bit more. But it's a battle I love. John John's also done one last point, really good versus punchers. Rum Nitty, Big K, 2 of the best wins of his career, 2 of the best punchers of all time. So that experience on the stage, he's a tactician that has a good history versus all-time punchers. Now let's see what Fonz does, right? Because if he's at his peak, if he's at 100%, he's so explosive and can write such high-level haymakers that even a great game plan can get overshadowed by just the pure quality of what he's rapping. So this is what it's about. This is like peak style clash, and I think URL is 2 for 2 so far on their NOME 15 matchups. And now we'll talk a little bit about Eazy and Twork, which is like probably the hot topic of the day. For those that didn't see, there has been a little bit of noise lately I've seen on different channels about Eazy and Twork is like almost locked in or could possibly be going down. And then Twork confirms and sadly also tells us that the battle's not going to go down, although it was close, putting out a screenshot, which I should have up somewhere around here, saying that Eazy ghosted him during negotiations. And the screenshot shows about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, them talking as if a contract is locked in. Then after some days go by, Twork is like, hey, haven't seen anything, what's up? Eazy just sends an LOL, and now apparently Eazy just hasn't communicated with Twork whatsoever, which he said frustrated him, but then the other half of it that for many people makes it even more egregious is allegedly Eazy, and by Twork's word, they're going forward with another battle. I think it's basically confirmed that Eazy's moving forward with another matchup. So not only did he just stop speaking to him mid-negotiations when they were about to lock in, he didn't even let him know he's going a different route with the battle. He just has him sitting there for a contract that's not going to come. Just looking at this piece of evidence, right? This looks like ducking. We also have to take it back a little bit further, right? To Bags and Bodies power moves, where Rock and Eazy was offered at one point. We gave a lot of hell to Rock. He was contradicting himself. I want the battle. I don't want the battle. I'll smoke him. I don't want to get any money with him, right? It was neutral ground. It made sense on Bags and Bodies. Rock doesn't do it. I gave my critiques. Other people gave more harsh critiques, right? People forget after that, Eazy was still offered New Jersey Twork on power moves. And he did the same thing and just said, no, I'm not going to do it. We can do it later on the trenches. And in this situation, it looked like they were going to do it on the trenches, and it's still like Eazy just ghosted it. I always, and I said it back then, I think Eazy's a terrible matchup for Rock. I think Eazy would beat Rock. Before the angles, before the beef, I just think Rock's an angleable battler. Eazy knows how to surgically put it together. And even though I think Twork is clearly like all time a greater battler, and I think he's one of the best in the world, reigning champion of the year, I just think Eazy is a bad matchup for him. I feel the exact same way about Eazy and Twork, except I think Twork is the bad matchup for Eazy. He writes better than him. I think Eazy, right there, writing with Rock, you could give the advantage to Eazy a little bit, but it's close. Twork is going to say the most creative shit of the battle. He is explosive, so you can try to angle him. There's tons of angles out there on Twork, but he's going to like take the energy of the room even more than I think a Twork could. And now the Remy and Pap angles are back up. Look at what Suge did when it got reignited. You give that same opportunity to New Jersey Twork, it could be an even worse result. It could be a true like 3-0 type of battle. We saw what Twork just did versus Big K. He has the capability of like really putting the pressure on like the elite battle rappers. So I thought Rock, part of why, and politics is all involved, URL and Eazy, we know that kind of already makes it hard for these two specific matchups to get booked. But I think Rock ducked Eazy to an extent because I think it's a tough matchup for him, and I think Eazy did the same thing with New Jersey Twork. We'll see what the other matchup is. The only other ones that I think could match up in terms of that, like, the only things I think could match an Eazy versus Twork announcement is Eazy versus Mook. That's not going to happen with Mook having Hitman coming up. He doesn't double book, so that's pretty much out of the question for the foreseeable next like 4 or 5 months. And then Eazy versus Rock, which we know is not going to happen. We know for a fact that's not booked either. That's even more personal than this. So it's a shame because these are the matchups that we want more than anything. A lot of the biggest matchups that we could book right now in Battle Rap do revolve around Eazy the Block Captain. I want Eazy versus Mook. I want Eazy versus Rock. I want Eazy versus Twork. These are all super blockbuster. But whether it's on Rock's side of things, the Eazy battle not getting done, so we get frustrated with Rock. And now with this, because of it looks like Eazy's side, we have to be frustrated with Eazy because it looks like Twork's ready to get to the rematch. It hurts the culture no matter what the reasoning is. So it's unfortunate. We'll see what the next matchup is. Eazy, of course, has to speak his piece of it. I just have to speak to the pattern I've seen with this particular matchup. This does not particularly shock me, but it's still disappointing nonetheless because I'm going to support whatever battle comes out. Eazy's one of the best and biggest battle rappers out right now. But if it could have been Eazy versus Twork, it's dumb for it not to be because these are culture shifting matchups. And that's what the culture needs. That's what battle rap's built off of, is the most important shit getting booked when the noise is loudest for it. So initially, it just doesn't shock me because if you've seen when I spoke about power moves back then, I even mentioned Rock doesn't want to battle Eazy and Eazy doesn't want to battle Twork. And then it becomes this kind of line of like, just people moving farther away from the other person. So Extremely frustrating, but we'll probably get more news and developments on it as it goes down. But now that I've spoken on both of these topics, of course, I want to hear your guys' opinions in the comment section down below. First of all, John and Fonz, how do you feel about the matchup? Do you have a debate against me like some of these people where they're like, it wouldn't even be on a Born Legacy, which I think that's stupid shit. A lot of it is a little bit overboard, but do you have any gripes with the matchup? And if you love it just like me, who do you have winning with John and Fonz? How good of a battle do you think it's going to be? And then for Eazy and Twork, your opinions on the evidence and just how you feel about Eazy and Twork possibly not going down. I know it's all a battle that we want. There's nobody like that's a bad matchup. So are you frustrated with Eazy? Do you think there's other opponents that if he took someone on a return or something that would make more sense? Or are you a bit frustrated like I am that the biggest battles in battle rap keep not happening because of dumbass shit? But it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.